Hi everyone, my name's Kate Kalthoff and welcome to a Stamping to Share video. Today I'm going to share with you a beautiful card that can take you straight from Christmas into the winter season with a thank you. You could also use it, let me show you the stamp set. It's called Letterpress Winter. You could also use it as an invitation stamp set or even a Christmas card stamp set. But I like how it stretches across the seasons into January with the snowflake theme and of course our thank you down here. Now this is a photopolymer set, so the images on the front are actually a little bit bigger in real life. So if you look at it, you can see just how much larger the thank you is compared to the thank you shown on the front. So this is a really nice set. You really get your money's worth on this set. So let's go ahead and get started. This particular card, if you'll notice the bright white through the snowflake, has been heat embossed. The card I'm going to make for you today, I am not going to heat emboss, so I can show you the difference. They're both absolutely beautiful. So the first thing that we're going to need is some cherry cobbler paper. I've cut it at 5.5 by 8.5 and scored it at 4 1/4. And we can just fold this in half. I'll use my bone folder to just define this crease back here a little bit so the card will lay flat for us while we work on it. The next thing that you're going to need is some craft paper. Stampin' Up! Recently started carrying this paper during this catalog season and it's so nice to work with. I have 3 pieces at 4 by 5 1/4. Now the inside of the card I did use craft, so you can see I have craft, and then another sheet of craft. If you'd like to save a little bit on your craft paper, go ahead and use Whisper White on the inside. Alright, so now let's go ahead and do a little stamping. So now that we have our 3 pieces of craft paper, we are going to take the snowflake image from this stamp set and we are going to just ink it up with a little bit of our white craft ink. And now we're just going to stamp that right in the middle. And you know what? Sometimes I find it helpful to use, now this particular image I get just fine, but I do want to share this with you because when you're working with photopolymer, it's often helpful to stamp on a mat, especially on those real bold images. You'll find that you'll get a better impression. So there is our snowflake. I'm going to set that aside a second because it is a little bit wet. I did go ahead and stamp one in advance for you. And I've also run it through the Big Shot machine using the number 6 framelit oval. Now this week Stampin' Up! Happens to have the oval framelets on sale, so I did want to use one in a card this week to show you how much I enjoy using them. Plus the snowflake works perfectly in this oval framelit. So again, it's the largest size in the smooth ovals that come in our oval collection framelit set. And to accentuate the snowflake a little bit better, I am going to use a sponge and we are going to sponge the edges. So all you do is just take your sponge and holding your cardstock, holding your oval, you just work those edges all the way around so that you get a nice white edge all the way around, like this. And now we'll set that aside for a second. And the next thing you're going to do is using another piece of our craft 4 by 5 1/4 inch cardstock, we are going to run it through the embossing machine using the filigree embossing folder, which I did go ahead and do for you. And again, we're going to want to do some sponging all the way around this. So I am going to actually accentuate these corners a little bit by running the sponge up a little bit higher through the corners. That'll accentuate the oval as well. So we're just going to keep sponging. I find that the filigree is just a very beautiful frame embossing folder. You can accentuate so many things in this large open space in the middle. I used it with my Founder's Circle card, which by the way was a good success. Everybody really liked it. I always like it when people tell me that I'm doing a good job, as I'm sure you do too. Alright, so we are done. And now we can go ahead and we can glue this onto our card front. So here's the card front. Make sure it's opening the right way. I'm going to use multi-purpose liquid glue, just laying a line of it around on this base sheet, and we're just going to set this right here. And it's looking good. Now that other piece of craft paper that we had, so we had 3 pieces, the other piece we're going to stamp thank you on. So I'm inking up the thank you, and again I'm going to bring my mat into the picture, and I am going to use the mat underneath where I am stamping so that I get a really nice image. I just like to make a habit of using the stamping mat when I am stamping with photopolymer, whether I actually need it or not. It's always better to be on the safe side. And now on the back here, we'll just go ahead and run a little bit of snail along the top, or you could use multi-purpose liquid glue. And we'll just set that in there, and the inside of our card is complete. So let's get back to the outside of the card. Here is our beautiful snowflake. We're going to put that on dimensionals. So I think I'll just use 4 dimensionals on this particular image. And I'm putting them sort of towards the center. That way we don't need to use one in the center because it'll provide enough support all the way around. And then we can just set this on here. I think that's pretty even. It's kind of hard sometimes when I'm doing a video because I'm always standing off at an angle. There we go. Now the last thing that we need is our For You stamped. Now I'm going to show you what happens when you have an over-inked ink pad. You'll notice how all of the fine detail, as you can see it is up here, is blurred out towards the bottom. And that's what happens when you have too much ink in your ink pad and you're using a really finely detailed stamp. So what you have to do is you have to actually turn your ink pad upside down and take some of the excess ink off. And then when you stamp it, as you can see here, all of your detail will show up beautifully. And again, I was using my Stampin' Mat to make sure that my photopolymer would stamp really, really well. So there you have it. And I went ahead and I stamped like 6 of them just because as long as I was on a roll, that worked out well for me. So now I'm taking the 1-inch circle punch. And I'm just going to go in here and center it and punch it out. And then this also gets a dimensional. And we'll just put one right in the center of that cutout. And then that goes right in the center of our snowflake. Just like, I think it's not quite, there we go. I think that's pretty centered. And there is our card complete. And now you have a thank you card that's ready to go out the door when you need it. And here is the embossed version. So I'll let you get a close-up look. One is a little bit more vintage looking because it's not quite so bright, but I think they're both just beautiful. So that completes our video. Thank you so much for stopping by today, and for also, if you have a chance, be sure to stop by my blog at stampingtoshare.com and take a visit, and that's where you'll find links to place orders as well. Have a great day, and thank you so much. I truly appreciate you. Bye-bye.